Most studios don't have a business model. They are on this membership hamster wheel. And typically it's because they're chasing the quick money, which is the front end money, but the real money is in the back end, the retention and the loyalty of the members.
The member-to-member interaction is the most important interaction that can happen in a health club.
If you're really good at sales to a shit product, you're just accelerating that retention.
We talk about a retention budget. For me, that's not just providing a 2 weeks free or a dinner voucher to a client. Retention budget is going and updating the facility. So when members come in, they can see that you're taking care and giving love to the place that they come and they call home. You know, not seeing an out of order sign on a treadmill for 2 or 3 weeks.
You're behind like 400, 500 studios, right?
Yep.
Think about your data right now. What are the top 1% of studios doing differently? If you had to kind of name 2 or 3 things, what would they be doing?
They are increasing the level of management and how much they are tracking from the staff. So staff have very, very, very clear objectives of what they need to deliver to the people, and it's measurable objectives.
What are your biggest leadership lessons are?
It's hard to be a good leader and be a perfectionist at the same time.
Wow.
Give people enough rope that they're not going to do some serious damage to your business, but enough rope and scope for them to make mistakes. You've got to have a investment view on people. That's the final question.
What did you wish I'd asked you?
Geez, that is a good question.
JP, welcome to the pod from CEO and founder of Xoda.
Great to be here.
What the fuck is Xoda? Just straight into it.
We are, the best way to describe us is we are really the end-to-end operating system that drives fitness businesses.
Yeah.
You know, when you are thinking about how technology is enabling modern fitness businesses to operate today, we are underpinning all of that.
Okay, so you say modern.
Yep.
Let's double click on that. What does modern mean?
Modern means that we are delivering capability in a way that people that interact with technology on a day-to-day basis, new technologies that order Ubers and post on Instagram, we are delivering technology in a way that is intuitive to what they are used to.
So like a member at a studio, is that what you mean?
Correct, and also staff. You know, so we are built with a modern technology stack with a modern technology vision. So for people to pick up and operate our tools, they will say, "Oh, this feels very familiar." You know?
Okay.
So it's taking advantage of the fact that most people are quite entrenched in technology and utilize apps on their phone and utilize a whole range of things. Yes, we have things that are very unique and new, but often it's copying or replicating the sort of workflows that people are used to and become accustomed to, and that's what makes an application feel, let's say, intuitive.
Okay. So to set the context, what we had a chat about like off camera, which is why we're here today, was, and we talk about this all the time. Soap's here too, by the way.
Hello, yeah, I am here.
We talk about it all the time, right? Most studios don't have a business model. They are on this membership hamster wheel. And typically it's because they're chasing the quick money, which is the front end money, but the real money is in the back end, which is the retention and the loyalty of the members.
Yeah, absolutely.
We said all the time, like, if you want to work harder, have shit churn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what's the industry average at the moment?
So most businesses are actually churning close to 100% of their member base every single year. And so that's,
oh my God.
And we would see that pretty consistently in many different markets. So you're looking at sort of that 8 to 9% a month in customer churn.
Wow.
Now, a really good business would be around that sort of 3 to 4%. So we do see a bit of variance, but you know, obviously it is a bit lower in the boutique space than sort of in the larger big box 24-hour access space. No, you go.
Hit them with the average.
Well, our median month to month is between 2 and 3% for studios in the academy.
That's a fantastic retention ratio.
Yeah, elite. They're awesome.
And like we would see like something as simple as 2 touch points a month from a staff member dramatically reduces that churn.
Oh, tell them the 7X form thing that we do internally.
Yeah, we have that in Geronimo in the academy, where we have crunched the numbers and can see that the studios that interact with us a minimum of 2 times per month or 24 times within a 6-month period are 7 times more.
24 times a year. 24 times.
I can't do the math.
Yeah,
twice a month.
Yep.
24 times in a year.
Yeah.
They're 7 times more profitable than the ones who do anything less. Even if it's like 23 times, it's not a bell curve where it's just like a little bit less than 7X. It's way less than 7X in terms of profit. So Yeah, it makes sense. Those positive interactions in any business, especially ones where you might sell a service, but it's not actually the real thing that they come for. It's the connection and the community and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So where I want to get to on this episode for our listeners who are really good people, like hard workers, it's not because they're not, we've never met a bludger, right?
No, they're always working many, many hours.
But they're like bees dick away from burning out.
Mm.
A lot of times it's because they're spending the wrong time, like they're spending too much time on the wrong thing and they're wearing all the bloody hats, okay? So that's kind of, but what they do want is to build $1 million business, dream business with a dream team that fuels their ideal life, like their dream life. That's what we talk to them about. We're always talking to them about 3 years from now, 1 year from now, just that sort of stuff. The issue is a lot of them don't have a retention / loyalty framework, or at least anything other than what we'd probably call retention 1.0, which is what we, at least if you've got nothing, right? Retention for a lot of people is, before they come to us, like, what's retention for a lot of people? And you would probably hear it as well.
It's that
we'll run good sessions.
Yeah, like they're vibey, but more so that the owner is always on the floor and they can have up to 100, 150 connections. But the second they start growing beyond that, they feel the huge impact of not being able to sustain
I think just
it.
on that, it's not just the fitness space as well. It's sort of undervaluing retention. Surveys across many, many different businesses would show that the vast majority of CEOs actually don't have what they would deem an effective retention strategy for their business. So this is something that is, I believe, a broader issue, a broader vertical issue than just self-fitness. So it comes back to, obviously, marketing and sales tends to be far more trackable, or particularly sales.
Yeah.
So these are things that are easier to track in a business. And therefore, when you get larger businesses and they have certain metrics or certain things that they've got to obviously hit from a cash flow point of view, it's far easier to place greater pressure on sales and greater incentives on sales because it's so much easier to track. It's very tangible.
And there's like a dopamine hit to that, right?
Correct.
And you could try and outrun Churn, but
Correct.
It's fucking exhausting.
Correct. I genuinely believe there's no greater asset a business can have than a phenomenal product. You'd rather have a phenomenal product than a really, really polished sales process and a terrible product. If you have a good product, you are a defendable business.
Yeah.
You can be a defendable business.
Yeah. If you're really good at sales to a shit product, you're just accelerating bad reputation.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I think product and retention come hand in hand. If you are investing in product, that is actually a retention strategy. So it doesn't have to be always as specific as we're going to do A, B, and C to the member. Continually investing in product is a great strategy for retention. And we see it, like, I would say, Anytime Fitness is probably one of the more known brands globally, and they've probably been, I would say, the best example of a successful franchise in this industry. And similar to McDonald's, who I would say is probably arguably the greatest, most successful franchise story of any industry, it is written in the agreements, and the expectation is there is a certain amount of capital expenditure or reinvestment that goes in those businesses every few years. And it's amazing how many businesses you walk into and you can just see that hasn't occurred. Now, every business has their own cash flow issues, and not everybody is going to be the same, but you can just see that there is a portion of the market that has not reinvested consistently in the product, updating the product. I'm talking about the equipment, the walls, everything, the aesthetics of the business, not just the people and the actual delivery. That needs to evolve too. But there needs to be a certain reinvestment in these businesses. These aren't businesses that you open up, you have an initial capital outlay, and then you're just investing in the running costs of the business. They require more than that. And when you see businesses that have a process to that, a system to that, create a budget for that, and they do it regularly, I see them excelling. I see them doing better, and that's a constant reinvestment back in a product. And I think that's neglected broadly in our space.
We've seen plenty of nice looking studios go broke though.
It's not enough, but it helps.
It's like
if you're going to combine a nice aesthetic with a bad delivery, with staff that are clearly not aligned in terms of the customer value that you're attracting, of course, it's not enough to open up and have an aesthetic and nothing else. There has to be more substance behind your business. But that is just an example of, a clear example that I can sort of demonstrate of how reinvesting back into the business on the product actually is part of the retention strategy. So we talk about a retention budget. For me, that's not just providing a 2 weeks free or a dinner voucher to a client, retention budget is going and updating the facility. So when members come in, they can see that you're taking care and giving love to the place that they come and they call home. Not seeing an out of order sign on a treadmill for 2 or 3 weeks. So there's many ways to allocate retention resources. And I mean, we feel very strongly at Xoda that health and fitness businesses should be the most important businesses in their community.
I agree.
We feel very strongly about that.
Why?
Now, what do they give? Look at what they give people.
Yeah.
We're not selling cigarettes. We are. There's a great quote that I love, my favorite quote, which is you can have 1,000 problems in life until you have a health problem, then you've got one problem.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that quote because I can't, I've never heard anything that,
Preach, brother,
in my opinion, is a truer statement. I mean, you could have your business on fire, you could have problems in all these areas, and then all of a sudden the doctor says to you, hey, something's really, really wrong. All of that's going to evaporate in a moment. And, I go to a gym with a neighbor of mine, and he's an accountant, and, his health has actually progressed a long way in the last 12 months as we've been training together. And the first thing I said to him when we walked into the gym, I said, see all this equipment here? And he goes, yeah. I said, this is the greatest anti-aging medicine that exists on this planet. And I believe that. And so when you look at what these businesses give people in the community, they give them health and they give them love and connectivity. And for a lot of people walking into a gym, it is their third home. So at Xoda, we feel strongly that they need to be the most important business in the community. And our mission is supporting them and giving them data-driven technology to be able to do that. But when you think about that as a standard, right? When you think about that as an owner, and I'm running a business and I'm going to look at my business as a lens as I'm the most important business in this community, what does that do from a standards point of view? You don't walk in late. You don't walk in sloppy. You don't hire people that don't have that same level of care or attention to detail. You don't stop reinvesting in a business and 5 years later and there's scuff marks everywhere in the equipment and there's carpet ripped up. That wouldn't even enter into your realm if you're walking into a business with an idea of we are the most important business in our community. It's a higher obligation. And that's what we try and that's who we want to work with firstly as a platform. We want those people that have that mentality, and they will appreciate a software and a platform that is pushing them to go to that level. And that's not easy from our point of view. Then you imagine that from a development point of view, trying to build a system to accommodate for that level of standard as well. That takes time. That takes trial and error. That takes collaboration. That takes a lot of stuff. But I think, if owners can walk into their business with that lens, I think they'll start to see pretty quickly where they need to lift their game.
Why do you think so many studios miss that standard on retention? And maybe it's not the studios, but like the other businesses as well that you mentioned. Like it's an everyone problem, you said. Why do you think that is?
I think, and it's just, let's talk about business in general. I think there is a large surface area of activity that you have to cover when you run a business. You go into the bit, and I'll look at me from a Xoda point of view, running a technology company. There are a lot of things that I can touch every single day in my business because there's a lot of components to it. Very similar to running a fitness business. You've got the product, you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got staff, you've got equipment, the general maintenance, the facility. I think what often happens is, as owners, because they are spread across a large surface area of things that they have to do, they fail to go to the correct depth with a lot of these things.
Oh, so true. Like we literally in our huddle this morning as a performance department, we're talking about the difference between just doing it or doing it properly. And, we can poke holes. Yeah, I've done said, framework. And then we ask, all right, tell me how you did that. And it's just surface level because you're trying to tick a box. And it's not because our people don't care either. I think it's just there's overwhelming scatterbrain sensation of fuck, there's so many things that I need to get done. So it's kind of like a done is better than perfect, but missing the depth is always where our people get caught out.
Condense and go deeper. When before moving into technology, I ran health clubs. And one of the things that we did as a retention strategy, we had a retention budget.
Yeah.
And that budget included investment in a product and investment direct into members. And once a month, we had a very structured retention meeting with every single staff where I would sit down one-on-one. That could take me 10, 12 hours that week, depending on how many staff I had. and we would go through all the allocated customers that were listed to them.
Mm.
Every single task they had to do, we would compare this month's retention to last month's retention. We would see, is there an increase, is it a decrease? How are they holding on to this cohort? And that was a very important meeting that we had every single month that I would never, ever miss.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was key to getting them becoming more retention minded. Then every month we would select 10 customers in the business, 10 clients who had met a criteria, whether that's they'd referred, they'd achieve a result, and we would invest in an activity for them. So we would take them kayaking down at the bay near Balgowlah, where the gym that I had in the Northern Beaches, or we would hire out a small cinema room and take them there, or we would hire out a small restaurant and go and shout them dinner. So we would sort of grab 10 members and we would, I love making that phone call. Hey, you're one of the 10. And it became something that everybody started to know.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, what can I take from this?
And that was a retention strategy. And it started to, creep through the business, and everyone was wondering, am I going to get the call this month? And what are we going to be doing? And it cost a little bit of money, absolutely. But the benefit was significant to the business.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I bet it costs a lot less than losing him.
Well, even just the way that would lift the community in terms of them doing more of the behaviors that you guys value.
Absolutely.
So that they can get the call up.
Yeah. But it's just going deep on one or two strategies.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to be more than that. And I think the issue is they just get a very overpopulated diary, trying to do a lot of different things.
Yeah, they do.
And not going very deep. And that's burnout.
It is.
So that's why we focus on one thing in 6-week cycles. It's just like, because you can't fuck around. You've just got to focus on that one thing until it's not the constraint. But even then, it's the decision to go deep enough on that so that that's the last time you have to look at it, instead of trying to rush through it, because there's always a million things to get done. But
what does focus stand for?
Follow one course until successful. Yeah. But even just hearing that, what I'm hearing from what you're saying is, if a studio has enough, sense of mind to have a retention budget and to want to update and have forecasted updating things in the studio, I think the reason or the difference between a sexy studio that launches and their whole strategy is good equipment, because there's no substance underneath that, versus someone who has actually got financial forecasting in order to have a retention budget and care about that enough, then they've probably got some other things figured out as well. They've got a way to bring people in so they have the cash flow in order to hit the forecasts and spend accordingly. They've got the capital to invest in their people. We always say at some point, your product is actually your people, and being able to spend time there because of the systems that they've installed. I think that's kind of what I'm reflecting on hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just more to that, I think your product is your people, because your people are the ones who are actually teaching your customers how to behave.
Yeah.
And like I said before, the 2 touch points from a staff member. And then if you dial it up, if a member's got 3 friends in the club, or 3 strong relationships in the club, that has a huge adverse impact to their retention as well.
Is that a KPI somehow, like internally? Like, it's like, let's try and get everyone to have 3?
It's so great question. So we always come back at Xoda. It's, what are we trying to deliver to a club, and what, part of running a business do we really, really want to own? We have to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can't run a fitness business without being able to transact and take payments.
Yeah.
You can't be able to run a 24-hour gym without somebody accessing a door. So there is a whole range of things that we would do that I would say are very unsexy, but they are incredibly necessary because they keep the wheels turning. Where we really try and differentiate is reporting and analytics, because we think there's a huge gap between what owners understand about their business and the amount of information that you can actually collect about your consumers. And then there's a whole world of how you utilize AI and predictive analytics and hyper-personalization at scale. And I don't want to get too caught up in that, but the other side of it is the community connectivity piece. And we really try and differentiate there. And it's through providing really safe tools for customers to actually be able to connect with other members and start to formulate their own community inside the community.
Is that the shift happening now? Like with the top, like if I asked you like, put your product aside for a second, but think of your data, because you're behind like 400, 500 studios, right?
Yep.
Think about your data right now. What are the top 1% of studios doing differently? The sort of secrets of the behind the curtain stuff on like how they're running higher retention, higher loyalty studios, if you had to kind of name 2 or 3 things, what would they be doing?
I would say definitely they are increasing the level of management and how much they are tracking from a staff point of view. So they're utilizing tools to allocate tasks or allocate specific members or outcomes to staff. And they're utilizing good reporting to sort of measure, track, and performance manage their team. So staff have very, very, very clear objectives of what they need to deliver to the people. And it's measurable objectives.
What's an example?
How many people you communicate with in a week? Okay. So how many of the clients have you communicated with this week outside of the club? How many people have you connected via the application in a group class this week?
As in you've invited them to a group class?
As in you've got members in a group class and you've given them the tools to be able to connect with each other digitally via an application so they can start to come to more classes together. Things like that. Right? How much content have you posted to members this week? Okay, how much information have you given? Then they can start to analyze things again, depending on the system and depending on what they've got in front of them. You've got a cohort of members. How frequently are those cohort of members coming on average in compared to this trainer's cohort of members? So you're Dozer, I'm John, you're a trainer, you've got 20 clients assigned to you, and your objective is to make sure that they come at an average of 2.2 times a week. Now, how does that compare to my cohort? So they are really analyzing and understanding these are the core behaviors that we need customers to display. We know that because we understand our demographic. We know that we train, females over 35, or we train elder males. This is the kind of behavior that we need them to demonstrate, which will entice them to continue to come back. How can we track and measure those behaviors? And more importantly, how do we incentivize and instill in our staff what they need to do to encourage those behaviors?
Okay.
So I would say those businesses are really managing staff very, very closely, not in a negative way.
Yeah.
But the staff are very, very clear of what they need to do. Very, very clear. So when they turn up to a class and a person is in front of them who ticks A, B, and C, they're very aware of what they need to do in that scenario. I knew a yoga studio, fantastic, and they always gave mats. They said, "Don't bring your own mat. We're going to supply you mats." And the reason they did that was because when the customers came in and they looked at the schedule, and there was certain metrics that the schedule tracked. If you fit into metric A, you got the green mat. If you fit into metric B, you got the blue mat. And if you fit into C, you got the red mat. Now, the customer doesn't know all this. They're just getting a mat, but it's very specific what they're getting. Now, the instructor walks into the room and understands that this is how I behave with the red mat. This is what I need to do because they're new or whatever it is, or they're a trial, and this is what I do with the blue and the green. And the instructors were very, very, very clear.
That's so fucking cool, dude.
And you had this awesome experience. I know restaurants, if we're talking outside the vertical, that will place a different color napkin on your table, and the wait staff know exactly what that means and how they're going to interact with you to get you to 3 dinners.
With a little buyback, like John talked about.
Yeah, if you get 3 dinners, you're going to get 10, 20, 30. And the other thing is those businesses that are heavily systemizing and incentivizing the first 20 visits, getting the clients in the door, gamifying, incentivizing heavily, and trying to build and cement that habit early. In technology, we use a metric of time to mastery. And this was really championed by Apple and Steve Jobs. And this is why I'll never probably switch from iPhone to Android or from Mac to Windows, is Apple made their products so simplistic, so easy to use, that when you started as a brand new person and you opened up your iPhone, the time to master it was so condensed and so short. So the lifetime value and the time you then stay with that product is infinite and compared to if it takes you months or years to learn a product. And so the fitness industry is no different. If you heavily incentivize and you heavily educate and you service up front, and you get somebody to mastery quicker, and you can condense the amount of time before they really understand your product, how to navigate your product, and it becomes embedded in their lifestyle, you're going to keep them significantly further on the back end.
Well, I think a big contributing factor to why the median churn is so good in the academy is that we help them install an onboarding flow that includes a gamified, like we're reverse engineering our perfect member.
Yep.
It's a bit old school. It's like, it's just a starter pass piece of paper, I guess, like a card.
It's like it's a coffee card, but it's big.
But like there's a direct correlation between the studios who are running that with people who are staying way longer. They're not cancelling at month 3 as soon as they realize they're actually in a contract and such. So I think, again, just drawing it back, it's the granularity. It's that's what works across any of the businesses that are super successful. It's knowing enough about tracking the data and then facing it, but then using it to your advantage to make decisions. And I'll even say anecdotally for me as a manager who had no prior experience when I came into Doze's studio years ago, you asked me, like we just had it before, asked me a maths question, no fucking idea. Like my brain just like, it's not there. It's somewhere else. But being able to understand the numbers that we did track gave me so much more power. I felt so like excited to change the numbers. So I suppose that's kind of, you know, that's what you're talking about here is the owners who, 1, have a team, 2, their team are clear on their KPIs. It's a big gap that we always see. But 3, them what to actually do with that number in order to hit it. And using all of the information about their clients to their benefit. It's so important.
And you've got to keep coming back to those KPIs too. It's not enough to say, okay, this is your job description, off you go.
Thank you.
There is always management. The more you want to instill KPIs in your team, there is a higher management overhead, and it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. But there is a management overhead that you've got to be confident that you can deliver, and you can sort of coach and you can lead people in the right direction to ensure that those numbers are actually achievable, you know, as opposed to I'll pass you over a piece of paper and
good luck.
You know, we'll catch up when we catch up.
And no, there's no playbook for it. No, I don't track it.
Yeah. And I want to be your friend. So I want to be too nice or not be nice to hold you accountable to it.
Yeah. Before
we move on to number 2, so the first one was like staff metrics and a culture of the KPIs around retention. From your data, just out of interest, what do you track data on, like the average trial to member conversion?
Yeah, so trial to member conversion is significantly higher than lead to member conversion. So we would still be seeing sort of around that 20 to 25% trial to member conversion, which is quite good. Again, I'm speaking.
Saif, hit him. Hit him. Hit him.
Our benchmark is 80%.
Okay. Yeah.
The boys thought, well, back in the day, you set that because you went, all right, well, we'll double it and we'll go to 50.
I'll tell you why. Okay. We all fucking broke is why. And everyone was like 20, 30%, man. Yeah, doing good. I say, no, we're not. He's not any, like, is no one questioning the fact that most people leave? Like when they walk into your business, like why is no one questioning that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to double it. No, fuck it. I want to try and triple it. And then it went the other way. So everything you're talking about in terms of like those hooked moments.
And again, I'm referring to what we would see, but industry specific data. But certainly we would see evidence that supports the industry average across the vast majority of clubs and businesses that we have in many different regions. It does fluctuate a little bit in terms of different regions and areas. Like we are seeing a huge boom in our industry throughout Asia. So some of the conversions, price points.
Why'd you look at me then when you said Asia?
Honestly, look, like majority of the people when we meet them, they do have a 20 to 30% rollover until, you know, a few things need to go right. You need to be bringing the right people in the first instance. You've got to have a process for indoctrinating
But it's this onboarding process.
Yeah, it's onboarding, but it's also that like what we do after to keep providing the future for them to want to stay.
And we're always in a little bit of a predicament here too. Like sometimes we end up, obviously we don't coach or consult customers unless we're obviously asked to. In that sense, we provide a range of tools, and then we provide tools that are pointing clients in the right direction. So we'll say, okay, here are the automations and workflows. Here are the templates for trials. And this is, if you allocate this trial and you allocate this contact cadence and you build it all in, here it is, it's going to give you the impact of a higher success rate. frustrating thing is how many people implement it.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it's
So
not
do
just how many people implement
so-
it either. It's like, I have my fitness pal. I can like have all of the tools, but I ultimately need to like eat the
Track.
right amount of food and track the food
Yeah.
and then do all the other things that come along with it. And it's that difference for me is like between, yes, I did it or I did it properly.
Yeah.
And I truly care and believe, that I can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one is the data. Number two of the top 1%. Like what's the second secret?
That gamification of those, that
The
shortness
first 30
of
days.
mastery, 100%.
Oh, perfect.
The gamification of attending, the workflows they build in, the higher touch points that they put in place in that client's first 30 to 60-day window to get them to that sort of attendance level that they want to get them to. When those workflows and those journeys are implemented well and delivered well by staff, absolutely that business will have higher revenue, higher growth, and way better retention as a result of having better retention. Their revenue and their growth is going to be higher.
That match.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just like, think about how tiring it is for owners who are working. It's like Groundhog Day, and then you recycle 100% of your members, but you're still in the same position. It's just,
It's awful.
yeah, it is awful.
Number three.
Third. So I'll take a bit of a two-pronged approach here, but the owners that I interact with and the data that I see, that those owners that are more analytical, that do understand and place a high importance on looking at the data and understanding their business analytically and looking at their trends and looking at their historic performance and where they are this year in comparison to last, they will do better because they are clearer on the outcomes that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So owners that really understand their conversion percentages, they understand who their go-to staff are when it comes to conversions and sales. They know how to allocate those roles properly. The other part that I will say, and again, the data does show this to a degree as well, and I can touch on that, but I'll get a bit more specific. But I'll start with businesses that focus significantly more on their experience as opposed to their offer do really, really well. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about what I mean by that. Businesses that have a very clearly defined product or offer, as in we do group training, we do personal training, and they continue to lean and rely on that, as opposed to businesses that have a far more clearly defined experience that they want to have.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is staff are going to interact in this way, or members are all going to have 2 or 3 friends. That's an experience that we want to have. So part of our induction and part of our process when a customer comes in, we ensure in the first 30 days they have 3 points of contact, not just staff, but members. Whether that's members that have a more senior level in the business, that have been there longer, that take on a bit of a mentorship role.
Love that.
And we track that because those tools are actually configurable on our platform. So we can see the businesses that are generating connections from member to member and staff to member and member to staff, and there is group chat activity and there is invitation activity, versus the businesses where there's minimal to none of that activity. There is a massive difference in their retention data.
It's so
and
important.
revenue.
Like, yeah, I just think, like you said before, it's the third space for a lot of the
Yeah.
members. And particularly in Sydney, you don't often hear like, oh, it's so easy to make friends, like whatever. That's a real social fitness is really becoming
100%.
a lot more important for people.
Yeah.
And particularly for how we see a lot of these newbies get involved into a business is like they're low confidence. They don't know what the hell's going on with this reformer bed or this like ski erg. So there's already a lot of tension around trying to fit in and belong. So I think it's so important for all businesses to have some form of connection and build in not just the care from their coaches, but also making them feel like, oh, I'm safe here and people want me here and I can actually make friends here.
All right. So what I'm hearing is the difference between the studios that are hitting record months and the ones that are shutting their doors isn't luck. It's 2 things I'm hearing. It's data and it's a focus on member to member, not just staff member with members.
Correct. Member to member interaction.
Just like the third dimension.
We would say the member to member interaction is the most important interaction in a fitness business, without doubt.
That's a fucking hook.
I think if you do nothing else as a team of employees in a health club.
Say that again without your hand up there.
I would say the member to member interaction is the most important interaction that can happen in a health club. And if you are working in a club and you're doing nothing else but facilitating those interactions, you have a pathway forward in your business. And I would often, when I ran fitness businesses, I would often see that as one of my primary roles, is just facilitating customer interaction. And that's why we would do the 10 clients every month and give them an exclusive event.
Or 10 together?
10 together. Yeah.
Would you find that it helped with the retention of your more senior members as well, that they were playing that mentor role? It felt like they had a bit of importance in the business?
There's absolutely no doubt. There's no doubt that if you are putting on a seminar at your club and you're talking about strength training, weight loss, and you invite a customer who's been there for some time, who's achieved results, just stand next to you for 5 minutes and provide a bit of a recap of their journey, there is absolutely no doubt that that is further ingraining that person into your business. They've now been elevated to a position of importance and value in your business. These are difficult things to walk away from. This isn't a new science that we're trying to create. We've had, as human beings, we've had these feelings and these beliefs for a very long time. And we want to feel valued. We want a place of importance. We want to feel secure.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at your business through the lens of we want to be the most important business in our community, and you go in there and you say, okay, we have a product, and that product is we deliver classes and we deliver whatever. Let's just make that let's talk about the experience. So when a client comes in and I'm giving them a tour and I'm saying to them, if you do nothing else this week, just promise me you're going to come to Dozer's class. Just promise me you're going to do that. I want you to experience that, because when I talk to clients and they talk about him, it's unbelievable. Will you experience that for me this week? Yeah, I'll do that. Of course I'll do that.
Yeah,
we've got yoga in this room and yoga's great.
So 48 sessions in the week, your job is to pick 4.
Exactly. So when I would tour my clients through my studio, it wasn't about, we've got you. Of course, they would already have that understanding. It's all on the website. But I would say, you've got to come to this person's class, and I'm going to put you with this trainer. And the reason I'm going to put you with this trainer is he has such a focus on these things, and he is so passionate about these things. And I know when you sit with him for half an hour and you work out, you're going to be feeling a lot better about some of the stuff he told me. He's phenomenal, and he's going to really guide you and give you an experience. And I'm talking about the experience. I'm talking about what clients say to me and what they tell me about the instructors and about different things. I'm not trying to jam the 7-day free trial down their throat, so it's looking at your business through a different lens. But to do that, you've got to be really, really certain about what that experience is. And again, this is coming back to a retention strategy. You've got to know these things, and you've got to really build a business around those things, and a team that's going to deliver it, and a process that's going to allow you to deliver it. And that's going to give a very different feel to the clients that walk in through your door. And it's a very different sales process as well.
We've been talking about retention this whole time around members, but I reckon studios that have that culture and that outlook on what we actually do, what do you reckon the other retention would be?
Staff, absolutely.
Staff
the fulfillment levels would be through the roof, and that they feel like they actually can make an impact, instead of it just being like, can you make a sale, or can you run a session, or can you fill in? It's like, I'm coming in and I'm able to save some lives here. That's why I would say most coaches end up getting into health and fitness. They want to help people. So being able to do that in every single session, yeah.
I used to love saying to my staff, tell me what you can deliver to our members that nobody else can.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? And they would, they'd always give me something like, I'm going to care more than anyone, or, I'm really going to give them the most valuable insights about their body and their weight loss. And I'd say, okay, let's make sure you do that every single time. Like, if that's your secret sauce, I love that. As long as it was obviously a secret sauce that fit in and I agreed with.
Yeah.
Let's do that, and let's make it about that feeling. Let's make that the key that's what I want to sell. I want to sell that experience.
Okay, I think for our listeners out there, I think that's been pretty clear, right? So let me just kind of recap before I ask you a personal question.
Yep.
So the big point is retention, or it's not luck hitting these record months. So the top 1% focus on retention, but not just, that's a bit of a no-brainer. but it's at a degree where it's about the data, it's about the member-to-member interactions, and it's about engineering an experience that is designed to produce like outstanding results on retention. If you get outstanding retention results, you are, I think I saw this stat the other day, it's, to acquire a new customer is 7 times more expensive than just to retain one. And that's only going up, right? We see the ad costs all the time. So instead of just keeping on the hamster wheel of, I need more member, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads, which is expensive, it's tiring, and it's just a dopamine hit. The shift between the dabble of retention versus the going pro and really focusing on it and installing systems in your business around this and the experiences matches certainly what we see at an academy. Like our benchmarks, and we'll do an episode on this straight after this, which is like, it's a 40 to 50% lead to sale conversion, not on free stuff, on maybe like $100, $200, $300 profit offers. That's once you knock off the CAC. And then once you're in, it's the 80% trial to member conversion. And then, as Soph mentioned, our engagement, which is like number of times per week, which is what we see as a leading indicator to retention, is 3+ times a week is like a healthy number that we see, which correlates to the 2 to 3% monthly churn. And it doesn't matter in our world, it doesn't matter if you're a pole dancing studio, a breathwork studio, a gym, or Pilates.
Any of them.
They all end up about the same. What the hell do you focus on as a CEO? Let's peel back the curtains a little bit. Like, it's obviously a fast-growing company, Australian company, based here in Sydney.
Yep.
Developers, tech, some big gorillas in the room. And you're a family man, you've got kids.
Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, you go to the gym with your accountant neighbour. Peel back the curtain a little bit, JP. Like, a lot of our listeners are CEOs, but unfortunately, they are the chief everything officer version of a CEO. I want them to kind of take a little bit of a peek in the day in the life of a CEO, or a week in the life.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Obviously, it starts with Separation Sunday. Keep going.
So, absolutely, having a wife and 2 kids. And 2 young boys, 9 and 6, who are incredibly active, play a lot of sport, and love to kick a football around with their dad. It does sharpen you in terms of how you allocate your time. And I've always been fortunate. Like, I don't need a lot of stuff. And what I mean by that is, if I'm working and then I'm going home and just seeing my wife and kids, and that's 95% of my week, I'm really, really happy with that.
Yeah.
I don't need to go out and watch the game with a group of mates. Of course, I love to catch up with friends from time to time, but I'm actually really, really happy in the role that I have, the work that I do, and then just spending time with the family. So I think it's going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week is absolutely critical, but it's not filling your day with too much stuff, and not trying to be everything to everyone, and not trying to appease everyone all the time. Like, you've got to be a little bit selfish in the sense that maybe I won't catch up with some people that want to catch up with me this month, and maybe I'll have to leave that to next month. And that's okay. And that's because I've got my family as a priority. I have business obligations, and I'm very comfortable with that. So I think you've got to be very disciplined with your time, and you've got to not always be going out trying to appease everyone that wants your time or wants, to see you, although that is lovely and it can be hard to say no, but you have to. From a business point of view, what do I focus on? I mean, yes, Xoda, we've been around now for probably 3.5, 4 years. We're in about 12, 13 countries. It's scaling fast. The world of technology is, yes, it's very glamorous. It's very sexy, but it is incredibly tough. And the competitors that we have are big, multi-billion-dollar businesses that have a lot more resources and a lot more capital. And we have to figure out a way every day to compete with them without their resources and without their endless capital. So you become really good at honing in on the things that give you the edge. And as a new technology company, our edge is being agile. And what that means is we can absorb information faster from the market. We can see trends faster, and we have a way to be able to pivot, move, and adjust quicker than some of the big legacy players in the room. So that means I focus a lot on product. And to focus on product, I have to understand the industry. So I ensure that every single day I'm having interactions with people that are on the ground floor, running fitness businesses, and I'm learning and I'm absorbing. I try and get out once a week to a location. Yesterday, just in Mossman, not far from me, I've got a new customer opening a phenomenal concept in Mossman, beautiful location. I went and spent 20 minutes on site with him, looking through the construction, the fit out. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? What's his expectations here? So product is incredibly important to me, and I wear a very important product hat at Xoda. Okay, so what we're building, what we're prioritizing, how we are building for the future of fitness. The other part is obviously I keep an incredibly close interaction with my core team. Okay, so that's our CTO, that's our account execs. I interact with support every day, and I interact with our head engineers or our core engineers every day. And that is to really gain an understanding of sort of what is going on across the business. Are we seeing support queries come through in the last few days that are all very similar? Is there something that we need to adjust, we need to look at, we need to educate our users on? So I'm in very close contact with my staff very regularly, and I'd probably spend a couple of hours a day in some form of conversation with my team. Then there's conversations with customers and people, and there's conversation with our product and design, looking at what we need to do and innovate. And then I do certain sales, enterprise clients, meetings, relationships, that type of thing. So that's a typical day for me, although that can vary depending on what's going on.
How do you time block, or like how do you structure that week to make sure that you're doing those things, and for like clarity and the creativity side of things?
Most of my meetings are booked in ahead.
Yeah.
So every single week, I know I'm having my sales meetings on Monday morning. I'm going to have certain partner meetings with some of our partner systems that are in our ecosystem. They're usually locked in, whether it's a fortnightly, a monthly, or a weekly, depending on how close and how much work we do with those partners. The only things that are really ad hoc is if certain sales meetings come up, customer appointments, things like that, or my CTO just giving me a call to say I need to chat to you for 15 minutes because there's something that we really need to work through. But most things are booked in well in advance.
So you use a calendar?
Absolutely. And I'll start my day and I'll look at my calendar. And if there are things in there that shouldn't be in there or are no longer needed or aren't a priority, then I do all my cancellations and everything at like 8:30, 9 a.m. So sometimes I will cancel meetings late, either with staff because it's no longer relevant that I need to understand that, or I'll push it to later. So at the start of the day, I look at the calendar, I make any last minute adjustments depending on what I need to really ensure I achieve that day, and I go from there. So people do sometimes get upset with me because they say like, why don't you let me know a couple of days before? But it's just the way that I operate. And that's the fact that my priorities can shift pretty dramatically depending on what's going on.
How many in the team?
We'd sort of be around that 18, 20 mark now with some contractors and full-time staff. Yeah.
What do you reckon your biggest leadership lessons are from building Xoda so far, or even with like the health clubs and that? If you really had to, like,
it's hard to be a good leader and be a perfectionist at the same time.
Wow.
Right?
Not bad.
And I feel like what I've had to do is dial down the perfectionist side of me. So I think you really have to accept and be okay with people making mistakes, and the tendency is to want to jump in and fix problems, right? That's me. So I can see you're on the wrong path here. My tendency is I'm going to stop you and no, this is what you got to do. And you do that a lot of the time. You get a bit burnt out, and it's so I think you've got to give people enough rope that they're not going to do some serious damage to your business, but enough rope and scope for them to make mistakes. You've got to have a investment view on people like you would if I bought some shares in the stock market and I'm buying them at $10 today, and in 3, 4, 5 years it's going to be 15, 20. You almost have a similar thought with people. It's like I buy that share today and tomorrow it's still $10. I don't get upset. Exactly. So you've got to give people enough time to mature into an asset that can really impact your business, and understand that it's very, very rare in this world that you employ someone and that happens straight away, right?
Yeah.
So now that's been a difficult thing for me to learn because I have high expectations of myself. I have high expectations of my people, and I've fallen into the trap of thinking that if it's not right straight away, it's not going to be right. But over time, I've learned to sort of take a bit more of a longer term view on the people that are in my business and what they're doing, and more of an investment view, and relaxed a little bit on the perfectionism, and made it okay for the mistakes to occur. That's not been an easy transition. Yeah.
I think our people could learn a lot from that. There's such a rush to like hire these unicorns.
Yeah.
And then, or if they don't, I'll just say who don't exist, or if they do, they're probably too expensive for, Mr. or Mrs. Studio owner.
Yeah.
So
at
then
40 grand a month.
Yeah. So the alternative is, great, let's hire someone who we can put into a development position. But the issue there is if there's a lack of proper onboarding and training and weekly development, which we do see, it all falls to shambles, and it's like, oh, well, I can never hire again. I got to take it all back.
I told you. There's no one good out there, and no one can do it better than me. Like that, it just it reinforces a narrative.
100%.
Versus our studios who, and in our world, there's another studio that hits the $1 million studio run rate every month. Those guys, they're team builders. They are people builders. They talk about their people, and they're so proud of their people. They want to look. They want to invest it. Like they want their people having like a good life as well. They are. If I offered some of our top studio owners $1,000 for you, or I'll give $2,000 to your teammate, they will
give it to the teammate.
They will give it to the teammates. They'll like look after them.
Yep.
They want to look after their people. They're our top people.
I always had a belief in business that if I look after the people will look after the customer will look after the business, and the business looks after me.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really true. But yeah, you've got to walk a fine line between having patience and giving someone room to grow, and also being able to identify, is this person actually going to grow? And if they're not, then it's a very different conversation.
How do you know the difference? Like, how do you know when that line is like where you think this person's probably gone as far as they can?
You can tell very, very quickly the first time you sit down with someone and you have an honest conversation about their performance. Their reaction will tell you everything. It's very simple.
Show me the alternative.
So I would sit down with you and say, Doza, we put in place these metrics, these KPIs. These are the things that we had to deliver. You're not quite there.
Yeah.
And you might say, yeah, I feel that too. Okay. Do you want to get there? Yeah, I do. I want to get there. Do you want me to help you get there? Yes, I do. Okay. What do I need to do, John? As opposed to, yeah, but I didn't really. But then this ended up happening, and then I did call that person, and then this had already happened, and then you're getting this wall straight away.
Yeah,
and that can come from ego, that can come from just fear or whatever. So you'll very quickly gauge from the person's reaction, are they actually genuinely desiring growth, or are they just trying to stop the walls from caving in, basically, or trying to hide the fact that they're not really vested or they're not really putting in the work. So usually it's very, very quick. How does that conversation go? I've had conversations with people where being a startup, now sort of moving into a scale up, and especially the first 12 months, like, we had a handful of people, like everyone's wearing multiple hats, right? Like you need a salesperson to be able to onboard, all these things. And I've had conversations with people, and I've sat down with them and I've said, look, these are your strengths. I know that. Your strengths lie here, right? Over here in column B. What I actually and what the business needs from you today is something from column A.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a column B guy, and column B will come because we're growing, and it's going to be a time when all you need to do is column B. What I need from you today, though, to get to there is I need you to be column A. Can you do that? And it's amazing how many people will just go, oh, yeah, no, I don't think I can do that. Or people will jump in and go, you know what? Yeah, I am a column B guy, but you need a column A. I'll do column A. So having those open conversations being very, very clear, not sugarcoating, not dancing around. Their response tells you everything you need to know.
I like that too.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I couldn't agree more.
And it's the same
So
on the other side.
applicable
Yeah.
in even we've been the same startup into scale up in our business and in the ones that we work with. It's so true.
Yeah. There's two types of people. There's people that will listen to hear you, and there's those that will listen to respond. Okay. And you can tell the difference straight away. And it's the same on the other side. Staff member sits down with his boss and says, I've got some concerns. I want to talk to you. Does the boss sit there and listen, purely formulating responses to come back and say, no, you're wrong? Or are they listening to hear them and say, okay, you feel that way. It's not my intention. It's not what I think is the case, but I'm not going to deny the fact that that's how you feel. Let's try and see what we can do. So you as soon as you have a conversation with someone at that kind of level where you're delivering feedback, where you may be delivering news that isn't potentially what they want to hear, you'll get a very quick sense, are they listening to respond, or are they actually listening to hear you? And you want someone who's going to listen to hear you, because they're the ones that are actually going to change. So it's pretty quick. Yeah.
I like you, mate. Dude, that was so much value. What do you reckon?
Loved that. Are you going to ask your final question?
Oh, what's the final question?
Do you know the one?
Of course I know the fucking one.
Yeah,
It's my first day.
I'm just checking.
What did you wish I'd asked you?
What did geez, that is a good question. That's a really, really good question. Maybe what I like to do outside of work.
What do you like to do outside of work?
I love to coach football.
I love that.
Kids football.
Yeah.
And I coach quite a few kids teams that my sons play in. And I love that because I actually, it's one of the things that I do where I'm like kids have a way of teaching you how to be present because they are the best at it.
Yes.
So what I've learned and why I love it so much is I've learned the value of being present, what it can actually do to your mental space, how you feel. Like it's probably one of the few times in the week when I'm with them, I literally don't respond to anything that comes through on my phone. And I've tried to take that into other stuff, but it's like a couple of hours a week where, man, I feel like I'm on another level. And it's because I'm with a group of people who are completely present and have nothing else that they want to do but be there. And nothing else I want to do but be there.
Yeah.
So that's like my absolute energizer time where I'm just like, I'm good to go now for whatever.
How old are they? Like, are these under 7s or under 9s?
I take 6s right through to like 9s, 10s.
Dude, I can absolutely. Can you imagine JP halftime speech in the huddle, asking little Adrian, "You're in column A right now, mate. I need you in B. Can you be the goalie? I need you to be the goalie."
I remember we had an end of year party and to celebrate the under-9s team, and it was a really good team. So it was a graded Division 1 team. They went all year undefeated in the top division. Phenomenal group of players, super responsive, played incredible football for kids that age. And we got to the end of year party, and one of the dads came up to me, and he goes, "Do you know what the highlight of my year was?" And I said, "Tell me." And he goes, "You sitting down and telling these kids about Muhammad Ali and the Rumble in the Jungle." And how everyone in the world thought that Ali was going to get killed, and George Foreman's this big bad monster. He's just killing everyone. And Ali's standing there going, "I'm going to win. And you telling them that all they got to make sure they do is believe in themselves. And he's like, "Mate, that was just," he goes, "These kids are just looking at you like, who's Muhammad Ali?" And I said, "Yeah, it was great." And I mean, those moments are priceless, really. And that's the kind of stuff that really lights you up.
That's good, man.
I've learned a lot more from them than, even though, parents and the kids might not say this, but I've learned a lot more from doing that than what I've been able to teach them, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Well, listen, there's lots of gold there for you guys. Like, you'd be bloody crazy. You probably have to go back and listen to this again and take some notes and like implement the difference between information and implementation. Like the transformation happens in the implementation. So, JP, thanks for coming on, dude.
Hey, it was great. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode.
If something resonated with you, then do one of two things. Either leave a review or send this episode to a mate who's in the industry who might need to hear this. But if you want more right now, because your head might be spinning and you're like, all right, what the hell do I do right now? Then in the show notes, you'll find a link to where you can book in for a free 15-minute checkup on your studio, where we get to have a look at how you're going right now and where some of the kind of quick win opportunities are to get you moving faster. I can't wait to be back in your ears next week. And if you're listening to this right now, I want you to know that I love you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you, and I'm in your corner. You are on the right track and I believe in you. So keep going, and I'll see you next week.